But at this present moment, you're at a pivotal point in your life, and I see you doing a lot. Like you said, you've done. You've worked at various properties. You've went to one of the best schools that I think that we have in Jamaica for culinary. That's the Runaway Bay Heart, right?
Yeah. It's the best. It's number one.
Yeah. And how would you say this school has transformed you as a chef, though?
Okay, I mean that's very easy. I mean, Runaway Bay Heart. The thing that impresses me, right? And I see every day in being a chef is the soft skills that they teach you about.
Right.
Stuff like doing.
Go on top, man.
Yes, stuff like doing voice and speech. You know, you're doing voice and speech. They work on your soft skills, man. They teach you different languages.
Right.
So it's not just about cooking. It's things that you need to be more
like rounded in the kitchen.
Rounded in the kitchen, right?
Right.
I think all right. Simple terms, simple stuff like culinary jargon.
Right.
That was very important for me to learn because I've seen it where you're going to the doctor and they want to tell you stuff. You know?
Understand, right?
You know, so they'll tell you that industrial jargon. So they'll tell you that listen, you have to break down stuff for your customers. You can't just put julienne carrot and expect a customer to know what is a julienne carrot.
Right.
You know, so that's how detailed they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what gives the advantage for us. And then they work on your professionalism, how professional you be, and you know, they show you like the guidance counselor, I don't remember her name, but you have to build your portfolio, how you must dress for interview, how you must present yourself, you know. So, I mean, that's a big, big plus. I don't see anywhere go in that depths, you know.
Like locally.
And stuff, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but definitely I believe that too. Like I said, I went to that same school and they nurtured me into, I actually didn't want to be a chef when I finished high school. I just actually, my grandmother is the one that got me into school. I was into DJing. I wanted to be a selector. You know what I mean? And I was really good at it too, but you know, she got me into the school and I don't know, I just fell in love the first day I got there and I smelled the aroma coming from the kitchen and I was like, whoa. Actually, and then once I did that, I just made up my mind, you know, and the first job that I got while I was there, you know, they give you that
hands-on training.
Right. I actually went to the pastry shop and that's where I fell in love and I never came out. Like I never did any other job in my life and I've been doing this for over 15 years. I must say,
I love your word. I love your word. Man.
I'm telling you, man, it's been a journey, you know, it's been a big journey for me, but I embrace it. But now, like one of my plans is I want to help to elevate the culture of food in Jamaica. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm saying Jamaica because I'm from Jamaica. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when you think about it, Jamaica is attached to the rest of the Caribbean. So we want the Caribbean food to become the next best thing and not just off people's mouth, people just saying, oh yeah, Jamaican food is good or Caribbean food is good. But I want it to be on a standard where people are going to respect it. You know what I mean? Like when people talk about, you know, let's say professional chefs, it's rare that they refer to a Jamaican or a Caribbean person. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's true. They'll talk about somebody from Japan or somebody from China or somebody from India, you know, these places. But when you think about it, I think the greater chefs are ones that have soul in them and cook from their soul. Because food is supposed to be a soulful thing.
Food, yeah.
Right. Food should speak to you, not visually only, but you know, when you taste it, you should be able to go to a place where you get like tranquilized or you know what I mean? And that's what I'm working on right now for myself. I want, whenever I give somebody something to eat, I can take them on a journey of how it went into the earth to become a tree, to bear a fruit, to on my plate. You know what I mean?
That's a very good concept.
Yeah. So that's where I'm going. And I'll tell you this, which the way you do your food and the passion that you have, you can go a far way. You know what I mean? And
Thanks
I see a lot of potential in you. There's a lot of other chefs that I see in Jamaica that I think with just exposure, you know, there can be so much that could be done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Like we could create a team of chefs that just travels the world and cook and teach people about our culture and let them taste our food. You know what I mean? Because there's not really people doing that. You know, a lot of people would take up the culture and they'd be like, oh, I'm making jerk chicken. You know, there's so many other things that we cook. You know,
so much other things.
You know what I mean? Like when you talk about mackerel, when you talk about saltfish, the way we use these cheap cuts and cheap meats. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm telling you, man, we can change the whole dynamic of culinary when it comes to the Caribbean, but it's going to take a bunch of young chefs, because the older chefs are not interested in that. You know what I mean? They're about making money. Not. You know what I mean? So it's going to be up to us as young chefs. You know what I mean? To really create a structure to make this food into something that people have to represent and respect. I mean, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
But because for me, go ahead.
For me, right? At first I was obsessed with France, cooking, and Japanese, and the other side of the world, right? Italy, right? But then I'm like, people like tourists will come and say, hey, listen, I love Jamaican. You know, and I started to look into that and say, hey, you know, we have some really sharp flavors.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But once we treat our ingredients right, like, I mean, pimento and butter and a chicken breast.
Yep.
It's so lovely.
Yep.
With a little Scotch bonnet flavor, like, you know. So
I tell you something about the pimento, right? And I'm going to show you how much there's a lot of people that are not knowledgeable about the ingredients that they use. Like the pimento seed has great flavor, but the leaf has more flavor than the yeah. And if you get the pimento blossom, I don't know if you ever seen a pimento tree.
No.
That's what I'm saying. So these are the type of stuff that I want to teach people about. The pimento blossom, it bears like a white blossom, right?
Yeah.
Man, there's so much things about. Listen, so the bark of the tree and the branches, the leaves pack a better flavor than if you use the pimento. Why? Because the pimento is dried, so it loses a lot of the flavor the, you know what I mean, and the fragrance when you dry it. But if you're getting a fresh leaf or a bark and you use it when you make it, like I'm from Portland, right? And we make jerk seasoning. Over there, they use the leaf to make the jerk seasoning. They blend the leaf, you know what I mean? And the pimento, all right, the pimento berry also, when it's ripe, because it moves from green to like a black color, like almost like dark purple, right?
Yeah.
And that when it's ripe, you can use that liquid, because you can mash the berries and it gets a liquid. The liquid, you can drink it. They have a liqueur, it's pimento liqueur, which is made from the ripe berries. Just like how they make grapes, that's the same way they make it. You know what I mean? So there's like so many uses with these same fruits: cinnamon, nutmeg, what you call that? Oh, nutmeg. Even the nutmeg. When we growing up in Jamaica, they used to tell me that you can't eat the yellow part of it. So how it grows is it almost looks like a peach, but it's yellow. Yeah. After it gets mature, it busts open like how the ackee opens. And then inside you have the nutmeg. There's a membrane that goes around the shell. Then there's a shell. Then there's a nutmeg inside. Every portion of that nutmeg can be used for something. The red membrane that goes around the shell, we used to put that in porridge, because that packs a different type of flavor from the nutmeg. You know what I mean? And then the yellow part, you can cook it. But in Jamaica, they tell you not to eat it because it's poison. You know what I mean? But you can actually boil it and make it into like candy. You know what I mean? There's so much stuff for us as and that's why it grieves me to see when, you know, people spend more time trying to learn French cuisine when there's stuff there. If you talked about earlier, you know, racism and slavery, right?
Yeah.
All right, let me explain. You know, in the early, about 100 years ago, in India, you have a country, you have an island over there called the Spice Island, right? It's like right between China, Indonesia, somewhere around there, right? The Spice Island was known for the majority of the spices we have in the Caribbean comes from there. Nutmeg, cinnamon, black pepper is from India, but nutmeg, cinnamon, what's the other one? Pimento. They came from that Spice Island. People can Google it if they think I'm lying. The wars that used to happen back in the days, a lot of this stuff was for these stuff. They used to fight for properties or lands that have these spices.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And that's how these spices got to the Caribbean, because when the Dutch and the Portuguese and the French and the English used to fight for different islands. So they'll capture the people there, they'll put them to work. You know what I mean? And when these people are working, they get the crops, which is the cinnamon, and these were big things to sell back when they brought them back home to Britain or to France they was making mad money. It's the same thing with sugarcane. It's the same thing with coffee. It's the same thing with banana. All of these produce that they used to have, they came from one place, and they, like, so for instance, now the nutmeg, all they got to Jamaica or the Caribbean is after they took them, like, let's say they was fighting for the land over there, right? Some of the men took some of the seeds and they snuck them in the Caribbean. And that's how they got planted over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it's so much to learn about the food. And once you understand the food, then you can grow and you can build something that nobody can take away from you.
That's true.
There's so many ingredients I can tell you about, and I can break them down and you'll be surprised. There's the coconut. Coconut is a major part of Jamaican dishes. We use coconuts in so many ways. We use the coconut husk and make a brush. I don't know if you ever seen that before in your life.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You know what I mean?
Come on, definitely.
The shell can be used to make fire.
All right. So even as to the same topic, right?
Right.
I mean, our culture is built on what the slave masters done. That's right.
Right.
So like we eat pig trotters.
Right. Pig's feet.
Tripe and bean.
Right. Which are all
chicken
offals.
Buck.
Right.
And we take that and make some.
Right.
And that's so amazing. And we know as chef, we try and elevate stuff like that. But what's the biggest problem is that I mean, most of what I know about my culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Learn that from a white man.
Right. You learn it from somebody overseas. Exactly. Because some
white people.
Nobody in Jamaica trying to teach you nothing about it. They don't even try to.
No, the thing is, one, we don't research stuff. And two, it was taken away from us. Like, in slavery, like when they capture land, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they come to Jamaica and they're going to take over. They burn down our libraries. They kill all of the high-heads them and they leave the kids them and remold us into what they want us to do.
Right.
Which is to just operate
like worker bees.
What they want us to function like,
Right.
Sit in the office, do this,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's just so much that has been lost, and we now recognize, say we need to search. We get used to just what's handed to us,
mm-hmm.
right? And we're just willing to accept
whatever we are told.
Whatever we are told.
Right, we're worker bees. So, you know what I mean?
That's the downfall, right? So we neglect. Like a white man once said to me, "Do you know how they call it jerk pork?"
Mm.
And I was like, "No," and he was like, "Yeah, because when they had the pork on the pimento wood, it will jerk.
Mm.
When the fat is popping,
it
will jerk."
That's what he told you?
Yeah. So he was like, and from then, it become jerk pork till it become, everything done that way become jerk.
Right.
And then because how naive we are, we just run with it. But I mean, when you think about the situation, right? if you put some pork on the grill and you have it at low heat, and the fat them a pop, it will cause the meat to jerk, you know. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we don't know the truth, but I mean that seems more feasible, like you know. So I mean, there's so much that we don't know.
Right, and then like, the answers are there, but like even the younger generations now, like you know, they're not interested in finding out nothing about the culture.
No,
you know what I mean. The young chefs that are coming up, they don't care nothing about what we used to make. They don't know what a kreng kreng is. They don't know about and these are stuff that are still practiced throughout the world. Like I see people in Jamaica sometimes are embarrassed by. Like let's for instance, you know, you grew up in Jamaica. I grew up in the country, Portland. We had an outside bathroom, you know what I mean? Yeah. And at some point they used to make you feel like, you know, you're poor and you have nothing if you have an outside bathroom. But if you go to some part of America, some part of Switzerland, you got people living like that. They call it outhouse, but it's natural, you know what I mean? This is not something to be ashamed of. And I think
definitely.
I think a lot of the people don't understand, like I said, how much they have and what they could do with it. You know what I mean? Everybody want to
true.
Everybody want to be a DJ and everybody want to do entertainment and you know.
and you know, it all boils down to how grateful you are.
Right.
You know, I mean, you still, as I said earlier, we still can learn other stuff, but we have to appreciate and be grateful for, you know. I mean, the other day I was looking into French cuisine.
Right.
And the culture and everything. And I was like, they don't really got much.
No.
They don't really got anything to hold on to. It's just that what they have, they price it.
And it's structured. So, they structure it in such a way. And just like you said earlier, what they do is they get rid of everywhere they go. If let's say they come to Jamaica, they're going to tell you what you're doing is stupid. And then they're going to force you to use their techniques because they want to make it supreme. You can't blame them though. You know what I mean? Because guess what? If you think about it, almost every cuisine in the world is going from the French. You know what I mean? Almost every cuisine. The Japanese now, they create their own stuff. But like everywhere else, when you go to the Caribbean, the rest of South America, North America, you know what I mean? It's the same thing. You know what I mean? They're using the same techniques, the same sauces. But now, when you think about, like, for instance, a Michelin star restaurant or whatever accolades these restaurants get nowadays, the food that is making the most money and doing the most disruption on this earth right now is soul food. It's food from countries that start, like, let's say, oh man, there's a chef in Guatemala, I think. He has a restaurant and he's cooking the food that he grew up eating. All he does is he just modernize it. If it's too heavy, he makes it lighter. You know what I mean? The portion sizes are smaller. And these people love that food. They love the food.
Yeah.
People would want to eat curry goat, but they don't want to have this big, thick sauce. How can you make it lighter? It's easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very
I tell you something. There's one equipment that you can use and change the texture of any ingredient, and that's a blender.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you blend a lot of the ingredients that you have, it makes it lighter. If you blend a banana, which is a dense fruit, right? If you think I'm lying, go get a banana, right? And blend it for however long you blend it. It's going to get foamy after a while. Coconut, if you blend it, it gets foamy. The blender is incorporating air. There's simple ways you can lighten a dish. You know what I mean? The sweet potato pudding, you can lighten that dish. You know what I mean? The rice and peas, you can find a way to make it more lighter. Use it in a different way. You can make it, blend it into a paste, put it on a silicone mat, put it in a dehydrator, let it dehydrate, and you can fry it. You're going to get the same rice and peas flavor, but it's going to be lighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like those are the techniques you can learn from other culture and just bring it to the dishes that you have in own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I see you do some, and I was like shocked. I was like,
listen, man, I got some stuff coming because I'm writing a book. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm writing a book on Jamaican pastries. That's it. All right. And I'm going to change the entire world perception, because a lot of times when I go places, right, and people ask me, oh, you're from Jamaica? Yeah. They'll ask, oh, you can make curry goat? Yeah. But I tell them I do pastry, and they're like, oh, I never saw Jamaican pastry before.
Yeah.
More than one people has told me that they've never seen a Jamaican pastry or dessert. And I'm like, yeah, we do have pastries and desserts. But then when I think about it, if you give...
We don't.
We do, but guess what? If you give...
Yeah, we don't, because we don't use it.
Exactly. If you give any American or anybody from outside of Jamaica something Jamaican, like the bread that we eat, the Ardo bread, you give that to American, they're not going to eat it. They're going to tell you it's too heavy. You know what I mean? Because the bread they have here, it's light. It's like a super... I don't know what they call that. It's soup, man. That shit is so light. You know what I mean? Because that's how they palate are. They like light stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I after years of hearing people saying the same thing over, it dawned on me one day, like, okay, you know what? You can change this, and I'm gonna use whenever this book comes out. I'm still writing. I'm still putting some recipes together, but whenever it comes out, it's gonna change the dynamics of how people look at Jamaica in terms of with desserts, because that's what I know the best. So I'm gonna use what I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna use simple stuff, man. Plantain tart. I'm gonna make a plantain tart, but I'm gonna make it in such a way where when you put it in your mouth, it just melts. And that's where food is going. Yeah. The desserts they're making nowadays, when you put them in your mouth, they melt. You don't have to chew it. And the food is the same thing. That's why they use the sous vide. The sous vide method actually does the same thing. It breaks down the tissues of the meat so tender. It makes it so tender. When you sear it off and cut it and put piece in their mouth, they ain't got to chew it 150 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But like I said, man, I could talk about this stuff for hours, man. I have so much information.
I mean, the thing is, if you want to elevate Jamaican food, so amazing.
Definitely. When I saw
the
same flavors, you just got to know how to get the flavors, and the flavors we already know that. The only thing we're missing as Jamaicans is techniques.
Yeah.
Like timing is important. Every time the cooking a meat, or it don't matter what you're making. If you're making a dressing, you're making a salad. All right. Oh man. So listen, if you're making, let's say you're making a dressing, or you're making a sauce. If you can break down the timing of how long you cook the meat, how long the meat takes, and what temperature for it to start releasing the flavor. All of these things. This is what these guys are doing. They study the science behind the food. A lot of these chemicals, right, that they're using in these dishes nowadays, the calcium alginate and the tapioca maltodextrin, and these stuff are being used in commercial operations. So the prepackaged stuff that we buy in the store, majority of them are using these same things. The true juice that we drink in Jamaica, it's not thick because the fruit's in it. You know what they put in it? Xanthan gum.
Xanthan gum.
Yeah. So if you read the bottle, you should go and see xanthan gum on the bottle. Xanthan gum is a thickener, but it's a thickener that you don't need to heat it. So if you put xanthan gum in some dressings, a lot of the dressings on the shelves, they have xanthan gum as a thickener. So when you understand these stuff, and that's what I'm saying, you go to the science aspect of the food and break down the ingredients and know how long. If you mix butter, if you're making a cake and you mix a butter for like 20 minutes, it's going to turn into water. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got to understand all of these things. So like I said, man, I want the people to educate themselves, and I want to help as much as I can. And this is why I like talking to different chefs to get their output and their input. And, you know what I mean?
Good, bro.
Yeah.
This is well needed for the industry, bro.
Definitely, man. We're going to change it, man. We're going to change it.
And the greatest thing, what I love about this, right? The passion.
Yeah, I love this thing, man.
Not just a hustler trying to do this, or,
No.
It's a passion behind it.
No. That's
very important.
I don't see myself doing anything else in this world. I've tried, on my breaks from not working transitioning from one hotel to the next. I tried a couple of things. I think the only other thing I like is music, and I'm not going to do that because there's too much people in it. I just do music for fun now, but like, this is what I am. I am food, But enough about me, man. We got to talk about you some more. So,
Pace Beer TV. Big up.